So you have $300,000 of credit cards and personal loans?
But we got a foreclosure notice on our house.
I got about 27 credit cards. I pay the minimum.
Okay, so today we're going to be taking a look at some Dave Ramsey call-ins. I like the differences of guests comparing it to Caleb Hammer's show, in the sense that a good amount of the people that call into Dave make a lot of money per year, but that in turn gets them into way worse of a debt situation compared to Caleb's guests. And I think this is a great example. It doesn't matter if you make minimum wage or $1 million a year. If you're not financially literate, this kind of stuff could destroy your life. I think financial literacy is one of the most important things to learn about right now, especially when we're currently heading into a time in the economy that's very uncertain. So we have a lot of different examples to go over today, along with some of your comments from previous videos. So if you want to be featured on a future video, leave it in the comments down below, but let's just jump right into it with hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of debt.
So you have $300,000 of credit cards and personal loans?
We have about 335,000 student loans and about 136,000 in credit cards, 44,000 personal loans, and 35,000 car loans.
Okay. How old are you all?
I'm 29.
Okay. So what in the world?
Yeah. So
I mean, are you both on this, or is this just one of you that's completely lost your mind?
Well, I have the majority of the student loans, and he has the majority of the credit cards. My credit card debt is not great.
Okay,
it's
so why does he at 29 years old run up $100,000 in credit card debt?
Well, he's 32, but I think it's one of those things where just making really poor financial decisions, thinking be able to pay it down as you go, and then it doesn't happen.
So I don't know if that's potential lifestyle creep, but racking up that much money thinking that you could pay it down, I mean, there's got to be some red flags before you hit the six-figure mark. But he was only in his early 30s and she was 29. I mean, just a couple years older than me. And I know the student debt talk is a huge issue, being $335,000 in debt for your student loans that you're going to have to start paying off pretty soon. But they also had $35,000 in a car payment and then a $44,000 personal loan. So that wasn't taken out to pay the car. That's some additional large purchase. Some of the comments, what did she study? Is she a pilot, a doctor, and a lawyer at the same time? When you're hitting this $300,000, we saw $500,000 and $600,000 with student debt before. It basically just has to be a doctor or surgeon level or a lawyer, because nothing else really seems worth it in the end. How does anybody have $136,000 in credit card debt? These are the people who take vacations every year and post it on Facebook to brag. I'm not saying she was laughing on the call, but she was much calmer than you think, talking about almost 7 figures worth of debt at the end of the day. We have a comment from one of you guys from the previous video talking about bridesmaids and destination weddings being way more expensive for, of course, the couple getting married, but then everybody else who has to travel. I was a bridesmaid in 2024 and had to fly to Indianapolis and do activities for 3 days before the wedding, restaurants, hotels, etc. It cost me at least $1,500 on top of it for friggin' Indiana. Never gonna be a bridesmaid again. I thought it was ridiculous when we saw a clip. I believe it was around $6,000 extra this couple was going to have to pay. And I mean, if you're the couple getting married, I feel like, at least in my own opinion, it would be cooler to have some sort of wedding close to your friends and family, maybe even a smaller wedding so it would be cheaper overall, and then spend a majority of that money on an insane honeymoon, going to travel the world for weeks or months even. We've went over people getting into 5 or 6 figures worth of debt for a wedding one single night. So at that point, it'd be cooler to just see everything in the world. And not only that, if you do pick a destination wedding, it makes everybody who wants to attend spend even more money.
I got about 27 credit cards. I pay the minimum, and it's like every day I'm paying a minimum on one of those cards, and it's like I got into a mess here. I make about $125,000 a year, but then I got a bonus of like $70,000 last year too. Right now, I don't have anything in my savings. I don't have anything in my checkings. I'm broke.
How much do you owe in credit card debt?
And I can't.
How much is the credit card debt total?
About $12,000.
Okay, you made $200,000 with your bonus. What'd you do with it?
I don't know. I buying too many things, I guess.
What did you buy? What's the most expensive thing you bought last year?
Riding lawnmower.
Okay, what did it cost?
$4,000.
Are you sports betting?
No sports betting. Just I don't no sports betting. I don't do any sports betting.
I'm just trying to find the money.
I do like that Dave challenged him on this. He wasn't immediately going after. He was just asking the questions, but the answers were very shady. So around $200,000 a year, we could drop that back pretty heavily with, of course, taxes, and getting taxed on a $70,000 bonus is pretty bad as well. So we'll still say $10,000 a month net he's getting. If he has $12,000 in credit card debt and the most expensive thing that he bought was only $4,000, something's not adding up. And I wanted to put this clip in because even with people who supposedly want help calling into Dave Ramsey, this guy is not being honest. He's doing something and spending a ton of money and is too embarrassed to admit it. And that's what a lot of people in the comments said as well. He's not telling the truth. I swear the wrong people make a lot of money. I don't know where it goes with the snow emoji. I mean, that could be some hard drugs. You never know. Ladies of the evening, that's where the money went. It's got to be something very embarrassing. Not something that he'd want to put out in the world. I don't even think he said his name. But still, either way, the 27 credit cards and $12,000 worth of debt isn't really too terrible in comparison to the income he has. So if you really do want to fix everything and get on the right track, you have to be honest with what you're spending, even if it is very poor decisions, because he's hiding something. We could look at another comment from one of you guys. I know a guy who made $350,000 a year and seemed to have it all until he got laid off after 12 years and basically lost everything. Had to short sale in the house to avoid foreclosure, sell most of the Pottery Barn furniture, and his credit score tanked. Even once he found contract work making bank, he still had $40,000 in credit card debt, then $60,000 in back taxes. And this was a smart guy. His situation taught me it's not about how much money you make, it's lifestyle and choices. Because I bet after at least a decade making around that kind of money, $300,000 plus, you get very comfortable in that situation and think that this is going to last forever. And especially in today's job market, nobody is safe. Even somebody who must have been very high up in the company to make this much money, people will start believing they could buy the giant overpriced house and have a couple Mercedes SUVs that are 6 figures each, but they're depreciating every day. If you don't have a backup plan or anything invested, you could go into foreclosure for that massive house and be basically 6 figures in debt with credit cards and back taxes and not really know what else to do. I mean, a very, very scary situation.
65 years old and wondering if I'll be able to retire at 72 and be okay. I have 110 401k. I have $5,000 emergency. I still owe $136,000 on my home, $30,000 on the truck. In March of this year, I installed solar on my roof. I'm not sorry I did that. That was a $22,000. I bought it outright, $22,000 loan.
I'm sorry. Is it a loan or did you buy it?
Well, it's through a. I took out a solar loan.
So it's a loan. Okay, so you're $22,000 in debt on solar. What else?
I do.
What do you
pay
make?
Alimony. $100,000 a year. I pay alimony approximately just about $10,000 a year. I have till November of 24.
Okay, what I would do if I were in your shoes is I would get these 2 debts paid off immediately.
So this guest called in to see if he was going to be able to retire in the next 7 years while he was in debt, even with $100,000+ in his 401k, making $100,000 a year. It was $130,000 on the house, an extra $22,000 with the solar panels, $30,000 on a truck, so that's minus $180,000, and then $10,000 a year in alimony, so $190,000. Just to be able to break even, it would cost at least 2 years of work, but that's not actually accurate because it costs a lot of money just to survive. It's not like everything's free for him. And then also $100,000 gets taxed down to about $67,000, $68,000, and he thinks that he's going to be able to retire in just 7 years. I feel like this is one of the situations where you'll never be able to retire. Honestly, you're going to be working until you're in the grave, unfortunately. A lot of the comments thought the solar panel loan was pretty funny. $22,000 loan, bought it outright. Yeah, that's with a loan. Solar, another scam, paying $22,000 to save $1,000 a year. Solar in general has come up a decent amount of times on this channel.
He's $300,000 in debt on credit cards. His wife just found out, and it's all sports betting, which is probably the fastest growing addictive problem that we're running into in the money world right now.
That's right.
Out of control sports betting. You can bet on whether they're going to dance backwards or forwards after a touchdown. You can bet on anything right? Mm-hmm. And they are betting on everything, and it's out of control. Some of you are losing your entire futures to betting on watching someone else earn a living.
I wanted to put this in because you know me. I've said it a billion times now how much I hate gambling, especially sports betting. But clearly Dave Ramsey is also seeing how much of a problem it is. The first clip he asked if he was sports betting, so this is how much of a problem this is becoming. But I don't really know what to think because I'm not like an anti-sports guy. Oh, you're just watching guys run around with a football or kick a ball into a goal. What are you doing? Of course, if it takes over your entire life, it'll be a huge problem, but it's just entertainment the same way people watching TVs or shows. So if you do enjoy watching sports, I have no problem with it. But people not taking the gambling addiction seriously at all, it just rubs me the wrong way. Every time anybody talks about this topic online at all, the comment section is littered with jokes not taking it seriously at all. You could gamble your way out of financial trouble though. That was the first comment made. If that was true for a majority of people gambling, then gambling wouldn't exist. None of the casinos would actually make money. It's just marketed really well to make you believe that you will make $1 million and you'll have the big house and the cars and your life will be perfect, but it basically won't happen. Dave, just say your parlays aren't hitting. Down $15,000, I'm gonna stop once I'm even. That's a big one a lot of gambling addicts like to say. Dave is right. Young men and women are ruining their lives with the sports betting app. I'm gonna be totally honest. I would say a vast majority of this is just guys. It's kind of like the next evolution of the frat guy who's really into fantasy. Now they're gonna start putting money on it, and I promise you, you don't know nearly as much as you think. Doesn't matter how much you watch the sport or the players, you're going to end up losing money at the end of the day. Enough that the husband racked up $300,000 in debt to go sports betting. Seems like a very quick way to get divorced. And we have another one with the roles reversed.
I'm a 75-year-old senior with a 68-year-old wife. And I found a month and a half ago that I was $53,000 in debt on credit cards. I thought I was debt-free for quite a while now. And I come to find out that there was money being put against the credit cards from casinos mostly for the last 5 years. Anyway, right now I'm lined up to borrow $80,000 at a credit union.
So this clip ends up getting worse and worse. His wife went behind his back and started racking up credit card debt in the casinos. And at the end of the day, I don't know how it's entertainment. I have a clip up on screen. Hopefully I could find it. I'm pretty sure I saved it on my phone for how ridiculous it was. It's not even walking into the casino playing blackjack or Texas Hold'em. Games where you're person against person. It's just those little slot machines where you just constantly hit buttons over and over and over until all of your money is siphoned away. It sounds absolutely insane to me, but for some reason older people love those games. But because of that, at 75 years old, more than $50,000 is gone. He's gonna take out a loan for $80,000. I don't want to seem dark, but how much longer do you actually have on this planet? Do you really think you're gonna be able to pay off an extra $80,000? That seems like a terrible way to be constantly having to worry about nearing the end of your life. We have another one that I had to put in. I think this one's a very, very viral clip, but it makes sense for how unbelievably ridiculous this is.
I messed up big. Went behind my wife's back, racked up $26K in credit card debt in 4 months. Pregnant wife, I should say, and now she's filing for divorce.
What did you jack up 26K on?
Pokemon cards. Trying to buy a bunch and then sell them online, which didn't work out.
Oh, okay. All right.
She's filing for divorce.
Yes, she already filed and.
Sounds like things were pretty rocky before.
Yeah, it's not because of these Pokemon cards. That was just the final straw.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, correct. We have 3 boys together, 2 to 5, and our first girl on the way. She's 15 weeks pregnant.
Okay, so I do somewhat agree. It's not like the entire marriage will end just because of one very stupid mistake with the $26,000 for Pokemon cards. But I don't think there's a single person on this planet that thinks that that would be a good idea. Clearly, he didn't actually know the market for Pokemon cards if it just became useless. And doing that while your wife's pregnant and already have an entire family, I mean, I honestly don't really know what to say. We could look at some of the comments. Let her go. That Charizard will never leave you. It's the same type of comments that you'll see in the other gambling, the sports betting videos. I would divorce solely on this. Financial infidelity, absolutely nailed it. 3 boys and $26,000 on Pokemon cards. Did he try to get her to start the divorce? It's kind of what it sounds like.
We borrowed some money from a family member, my father-in-law and mother-in-law, a year and a half ago. We put a manufactured home there, use the money for that. We're paying them back pretty quickly, it feels like. Made a dumb decision again before I started your book and went out and bought a toy. And it's kind of putting some stress on our relationship with them. They're thinking we shouldn't be spending money when we owe them money. And I just wanted your advice on that.
What'd you buy?
A four-wheeler.
Okay. What'd you spend on the four-wheeler?
$6,000, and we financed it, but it's almost paid off now.
Okay. And what do you owe them?
About $80,000.
So you have an $80,000 trailer and you don't own the dirt?
Correct.
Oh, God. Okay. Well, what are the terms? I mean, did you have a payment system with them, a certain amount you're supposed to pay them every month?
Yes, yeah, and we've been paying that on time.
And yet they expected that you would prepay them rather than do anything else. Why did they expect that?
You know, that's a good question.
It's because you guys were family. You didn't go to the bank to get a loan, and this makes this a very messy situation. You could have whatever opinion you want, thinking that they'd have to be eating rice and beans until they paid their family member off, or as long as they're making the monthly payments, they could spend whatever extra money they have on anything. But this is the kind of stuff that could break up families, having huge fights, and just something that at least I would want to avoid. I'd rather have to go and get a loan from a bank instead of asking family for money. It just seems like it would lead to many problems. We could look at some of the comments. My rule, don't borrow money from family, and even Dave Ramsey replied that's a good rule. I think this also applies a good amount of the time in business, making some startup with your family members that maybe if you don't see eye to eye, it could tank the entire company you're trying to build, along with having a rift in your family from now on. Other people don't agree with him buying a four-wheeler like that. You don't borrow money from people, then go out to buy frivolous, expensive items. I mean, you could have whatever opinion you want. I just think unless it's a last resort where you can't borrow money from anybody, the banks won't lend you any money, you don't really know where else to go, I think borrowing from a family member can be a very dangerous game. Here we have kind of a funny clip that I think is the reason why a lot of people like watching these types of shows now.
Do you know who Dave Ramsey is? It's so much fun. I listen to him. I don't take the advice, but it's good to hear that people are doing so much worse than me. It's so inspiring. He's like a financial guy, and he takes these calls, and every call is like, yeah, me and my husband are $2.5 million in debt. He's unemployed, and I sell stolen shampoo. I guess I was just wondering, Dave, how many weeks vacation should I take this year? Are you stupid? This poor guy, he's got to fix their lives. He's got nothing but a pencil and a headset. And Dave Ramsey is just on the phone. He rubs his head, and he's just like, all right, so you're trying to budget. You said you got 6 kids, but 1 is missing. That's 5. All right, we'll start there.
I know that there are tons of comments all over the place saying that this is the new Jerry Springer, and I get that. A lot of people watch this for entertainment, but I at least hope some people, especially the younger people who see any of these clips on TikTok or watch it on YouTube, the full videos, can realize that if you don't take finances seriously, you could be one of these people on the call or a guest on Caleb's show, having no financial future, not being able to retire at all, and living barely paycheck to paycheck, probably not even that, just going into tons of debt just to survive. It seems like a nightmare to me.
We had $316,000 in capital losses. We were told that we could only deduct $3,000 a year on our taxes, but I did the math, and that would take 115 years, and I'm hoping I don't live that long. But our accountant said that he suggested opening a brokerage account instead of a 401k to utilize these capital losses, and I just wanted to hear your opinion on that.
So it sounds like the type of losses that you have is what's causing the write-off, the inability to write them off, because you don't have any income that is of similar sources to the losses.
Right.
Yeah. And so he's saying open a brokerage account because the income on that then would be tax-free, utilizing these losses to write it off. Okay.
Right, exactly.
I'll bite.
I wanted to put this clip in because it basically means that they went all in on day trading or trading in general when they don't even make nearly the amount of income compared to the $300,000+ they lost. So like they said, they could only deduct $3,000 a year on their taxes, so they're not going to live long enough to actually slowly write all of it off. I just thought it was insane. The mentality to go all in with that kind of money must have been life savings and just completely get wiped when you don't have the income to back it up. Even though it would seem pretty stupid, if you made $300,000 a year and lost $300,000 day trading or whatever they were doing, it's probably not as bad because there's still a good amount of income coming in all the time. But that's definitely not the case here. We could look at some of the comments. 99% of gamblers quit before their biggest win. It's the same comments every time.
My husband, who has a massive spending addiction, he spends and spends and spends. He has had to empty his 401k 3 times to pay off debt that he has accrued. He takes out consolidation loans without my consent. He bought a car without my consent. The payment for that is almost $1,000 a month, and it just goes and goes and goes.
How long has this been happening?
Years.
Have you guys been to therapy?
Yep. He won't go.
Well, then you haven't been. Do you go on your own?
So I've been going, and then I started doing the snowball method. I have been spending the last 5 years simultaneously been paying off and saving, and I've paid off so far $31,751.84.
So this is somebody where their partner is on the complete opposite side of them. Again, one of the fastest ways to get a divorce, because money problems is a huge reason why people end up splitting up now. But she's paying off the debt and saving money doing the Dave Ramsey method, while he's just going out and spending everything he possibly could. I don't know if he did a good job of hiding it before they got married. I feel like there'd be some clues here and there before they ended up settling down. But if you don't really know what your partner's finances look like before you get married, it can completely ruin your life, your relationship, I mean everything. Because later in the video, they do talk about divorce, and we could look at the comments. This advice is blatantly wrong. Many states view debt as a marital property. So if he's drowning in a whole ton of debt and she's saving a lot of money, if they end up getting divorced, some of that debt still goes to her. Ohio is a 50-50 state. She would end up with half of the debt. There you go. It does depend on where you live in the country. File for divorce so you can inherit half of the marital debt. I honestly don't even know what I would do in this situation.
How much money do you make?
So I just got a promotion actually in January as well. So I'm currently going to be at $60,000 plus incentives.
You said $60,000?
Yes.
So you're going to own a $60,000 car making $60,000 a year?
When you put it that way, it sounds even worse.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why he did that.
That's why I did it.
He's
It was a trick question.
He's completely messing with
Jalen,
you,
I
but
love
he's
you,
doing
man.
it
I
because
love
he loves you.
But that's something that needs to be said to a lot of people in this day and age. I know that new vehicles are getting more and more expensive, even for the terrible quality that you do get, but you going out and buying a $60,000 SUV that isn't even top of the line, it's probably like mid-range now, while you make that much money a year, and that's pre-tax. So it's not like $5,000 is coming in even every single month. You're getting less than that. And it's a very quick way to start getting into debt because, again, the cost of living, it's not like everything else in your life is free. And all these bills start adding up very quickly and could put you in a pretty bad financial hole. We have another comment from one of you guys. The whole depreciation debate is so crazy to me. If the number one thing you worry about is how much you're going to get the car for when you sell it, then the car is too expensive for you. Maybe I'm naive, but I expect to drive a car forever and not just until the new version comes out. And that adds on to the last clip because most of the people who are buying that $60,000 car while they make $60,000 a year aren't keeping it for the next 20, 30, or 40 years. Most likely the modern cars won't even last that long, but you know what I'm trying to say. 5 or 10 years down the road, there's a new model with, new features. It looks a lot newer. It looks more expensive. I'm going to trade in my car with possibly negative equity to get the brand new one, and now I'm paying even more money. It's not too common for somebody to have a vehicle for a extended period of time, 10 years, 15, 20 years. It's always the newest model. I want something cool and modern, expensive looking, now.
How much debt do you have?
$132K.
On what?
Let's see. We've got carpet, rings, credit cards, swimming pool, boat, cars.
You guys have been buying crap like you're in Congress, haven't you?
Yeah, pretty much.
And what's your household income?
We bring home $9,200 a month.
So you make good money. At least you'll be able to clean this up. Probably need to sell a bunch of that crap, too, don't you?
Well, I emailed her today and said I'm selling the boat, and she said no.
Okay.
That's our only source of entertainment and vacation.
Okay. How old are you two?
I am 39. She's 37.
Okay.
Another example of a couple not being on the same page. Almost $10,000 a month coming in, and they're still broke because they're buying a whole bunch of crap. Cars, rings, carpet, and of course a boat. One of the biggest money pits you could buy. And even with him wanting to sell it, which means he's probably going to get washed, his wife refuses because they still want the entertainment and the vacations. Even though they don't have any money, however, almost $10,000 a month is coming in. That's a crazy life to live.
Current college students expect to earn $103,880 in their first job, according to one report.
Yeah.
That's a problem. I interviewed a bunch of high schoolers, and when I talked to them, they all were like, well, yeah, I'm going to make six figures when I graduate. And I was like, what makes you think that?
Right.
There's no reality. It's just kind of this wet finger in the air, and I think I deserve, and the way things are going with the economy, you need to make $100,000, so I'm just going to go make $100,000.
Yeah.
And it says 10 years into the careers, students anticipate making more than $200,000. So they are way overestimating their starting salaries, one report says, by 88%. And so they need to understand, what degree am I after? What are the jobs on the other side of that degree? And what do those jobs pay in my area with my experience?
So I think this could be a problem for a number of reasons. First off, with the job market and the economy today, high schoolers thinking that it's that easy to get a degree and then just get a job that starts at six figures is basically not going to happen for most people. If that was the case, we wouldn't see nearly as many problems in any of the job posting videos that I've talked about. The job market, the endless examples of people going through hundreds or even thousands of applications, tons of different rounds of interviews just to not get a job or any money at the end of the day. Or if you are lucky enough to get hired, you know they are going to lowball you into oblivion. And I get why they have the mentality that they need $100,000, especially if you live anywhere near a city, an expensive area. If you want to have a car or a house or even rent an apartment in a city, you probably need to make close to six figures. It's not because you're going every month and taking a vacation and going out to eat every night and spending a whole ton of money, but that's just not the reality in today's job market. And people are banking on making that salary because they're getting into 5 or 6 figures worth of student debt to get that piece of paper. We can look at some of the comments. It's because they spent close to $350,000 on 4 years of college. I know it sounds absolutely insane, but there are many examples of just that. We've gone over with the student loans, credit card debt in general, when people are talking about everything that they own. Tons of people are in insane amounts of student loans. A clip earlier in this video, I believe, was $335,000 in student loans. The problem isn't that college students expect the salary. It's that the economy is so bad that that's what we would need to live. I get that in certain places. Of course, if you're in a rural, very cheap living area, $100,000 is more than enough, but you can't increase everything's price and not increase salaries. Well, if you take a look at companies right now, that's exactly what they're doing. It is an employer's market, so they could put bottom of the barrel prices and they'll still have people flooding in with applications just because it's better than $0. I definitely saved the highest amount of debt for the last clip of this video.
He called me one day and said, I'm going to tell you before you get home to see the mail today, but we got a foreclosure notice on our house.
Oh my gosh.
Which was due to a second mortgage he took out on our house in order to purchase a warehouse for his business. I naively thought, okay, I'm going to fix this. I'm going to cash out one of my 401ks, pay that off, get the house out of foreclosure, and then we're going to move forward and do everything right from here on out. That was very naive. As I started to dig deeper, I realized the trouble that the business was in. He has a huge overhead and is not making enough to sustain that.
Now, I think this is an extreme example, but especially around what we've seen over the past year or so, again, with the job market, people not making too much money. There are tons of videos on social media saying, just go for it, be your own boss. It's a lot better than being a cog in some company, getting pushed around, barely making any money, doing all the interviews and everything. I mean, just go for it. And I do get why more people are saying it, but there are some people who like to keep up the facade. It's not like this all came crashing down immediately. Whatever kind of business he was running, getting your house foreclosed on because you took out loans against it, this is something that could happen to somebody who starts their own business. Again, very extreme example. We could look at some of the comments. Sounds like they're funding a lifestyle, not a business. How do you get approved for this much debt? Sell everything. Not everyone's good at running a business. Time to get a job with a guaranteed stable income. Not as easy as it sounds. I suddenly feel better about my finances in life. I owe $100 and can't sleep at night. 4.5 million sounds like bankruptcy for sure. I mean, I don't really know what to tell you. I don't think too many people are going to be able to pay back $4.5 million in their lifetime just to get out of debt. But that's all I got for you guys today. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. YouTube thinks you'll like this video popping up on screen right now. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, and I'll talk to you guys later.